Now, ISIS has been attacking people all across the world. They've killed Americans, they've killed Egyptians, they've killed Japanese people. And so now our right wing has decided that we're in a holy war. Now, we're going to get into the specifics in a second. And they've also decided that President Obama is not doing enough. Of course, that's what they always say. So, for example, there was a conservative who tweeted out, Stephen Miller, he said, ISIS kills a Jordanian, airstrikes. ISIS kills 21 Egyptians, airstrikes. ISIS kills Kyler Mueller, selfie stick and golf. Now, Kyler Mueller is an American, and he's saying that Obama at that point played golf and used a selfie stick, and ha, he didn't do anything. There were no airstrikes. Now, it's not just a lone idiot on Twitter who is a conservative blogger or whatever he is, right? It's Bob Schieffer at Face the Nation. He says, we have another American hostage killed, and Congress and the president goes off to California to do fundraiser and some other stuff. Now, I can't stand that they do so many fundraisers. But they're doing them nonstop. So at any point, you can criticize them for doing a fundraiser instead of doing something important, right? But the reality is, it makes it seem as if we're not doing anything. But that's not true. So let me give you the real numbers. Strikes against ISIS by the United States. There have been 12 conducted in the 48 hours after Kyler Mueller's death. So Jordanian gets killed, airstrike. Egyptians get killed, airstrike. American gets killed, 12 airstrikes. You think we're not doing enough airstrikes on ISIS? Here's a reality. We've had 2,400 airstrikes since the beginning of military operations last summer. We've done more airstrikes against ISIS than everyone else combined. But conservatives and mainstream media pretend, Obama, all he's doing is golfing and fundraising. He's not doing any airstrikes. They're misleading you. It's a lie, okay? So now, State Department spokesperson Mary Harf went on TV, and she wanted to talk about how to handle ISIS as well, and she got herself in trouble for saying something intelligent. Let's watch.
Killing enough of them?
We're killing a lot of them, and we're going to keep killing more of them. So are the Egyptians, so are the Jordanians. They're in this fight with us. But we cannot win this war by killing them. We cannot kill our way out of this war. We need, in the longer term, medium and longer term, to go after the root causes that leads people to join these groups, whether it's lack of opportunity for jobs.
We're not going to be able to stop that in our lifetime or 50 lifetimes. There's always going to be poor people. There's always going to be poor Muslims. And as long as there are poor Muslims, the trumpet's blowing. They'll join. We can't stop that, can we?
We can work with countries around the world to help improve their governance. We can help them build their economy so they can have job opportunities for these people. Work at the root causes of this. What makes these 17-year-old kids pick up an AK-47 instead of try to start a business? Maybe we can try to chip away at this problem while at the same time going after the threat.
So she says we can't kill our way out of this, which is only the truest statement anybody's ever said. As she's about to point out, American military commanders have also said the same things. Everybody explodes. How dare you? The answer is death and more death. How dare you suggest that we try to address the root causes? Are you crazy? So now she's going to have to defend herself. Let's watch.
I'm not the first person to say something like this. Military commanders that we've had throughout many years here fighting this war on terrorism have said the exact same thing, that in the short term, when there's a threat like ISIL, we will take direct military action against these terrorists. We have done that. We are doing that in Iraq and in Syria. But longer term, we have to look at how we combat the conditions that can lead people to turn to extremism.
Okay, seems logical. In fact, she's right about what military leaders have said. Admiral Mullen in 2008, for example, said, we can't kill our way to victory. Seems like identical of what she said. Okay, more of a defense from her, because obviously she's in a lot of trouble for saying logical things.
So you suggested that maybe if you find these young men jobs, they might not become terrorists, right?
Well, I think that's a gross oversimplification. What we've talked about is there are things like good governance in countries where if there is not good governance, it can create a vacuum and a space for terrorist organizations to recruit and get people to their cause. But look, if we look around the world and say longer term, we cannot kill every terrorist around the world, nor should we try. How do you get at the root causes of this? It might be too nuanced an argument for some, like I've seen over the past 24 hours some of the commentary out there, but it's really the smart way that Democrats, Republicans, military commanders, our partners in the Arab world think we need to combat.
I like that little jab at the end there. might be a little nuanced for you idiots. Okay, well, they had that coming. Now, speaking of idiots who don't understand things like this, here comes Bill O'Reilly. Now, of course, he's going to be opposed to her. Of course, he's going to be for more war. We know all this. But he's also going to help ISIS tremendously by calling for the holy war that they desperately want. So, Bill, go ahead and help him.
The holy war begins. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. President Obama's unwillingness to engage the ISIS savages on the ground is becoming a very serious story that may define his entire presidency. This week, there will be some meetings at the White House about the growing terror threat. We can expect a lot of speeches. Talking Points well understands that the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have hurt America's ability to confront evil around the world. President Obama and many Americans do not have the heart for another global conflict. There is only one leader with the cachet to lead the fight, that reluctant warrior, Barack Obama. This is now a so-called holy war between radical jihadists and everybody else, including peaceful Muslims. But with ISIS expanding its territory and recruiting thousands of fanatical killers from all over the world, no one is safe. Therefore, it is imperative that President Obama stop living in a theoretical, even fictional world. The holy war is here. And unfortunately, it seems the President of the United States will be the last one to acknowledge it.
Speaking of living in a fictional world, I just told you, we did 2,400 airstrikes against ISIS. What did you want? 2,500 airstrikes? Would that have appeased your warmongering? But it wouldn't have. We could have done 4,800. We could have done triple. We could have done 100 times that amount of bombing, and Bill O'Reilly would still not be appeased and call President Obama a reluctant warrior. And you schmuck, don't you get it? ISIS is beheading these people, trying to draw us in to a holy war. That's all of their propaganda. That's what they say to other Muslims. You see that? The Christians want to fight us. The West wants to fight us. America wants to fight us in a holy war. So they're going to take Bill O'Reilly's tape and they'll probably run it as is and say, we told you so. We told you the Americans wanted a holy war. Now O'Reilly's going to help them some more.
So Ms. Harf, who speaks for the State Department, John Kerry, is telling the ISIS killers themselves and the world that organized military opposition cannot defeat the terror group. That's just nonsense. If the world united against the jihad, it would be defeated. But again, there's no effort to do that. And so the atrocities continue.
There's no effort to do that. What more bombing do you want? No effort, he says, to do that. I mean, you want to talk about misleading? They call this a news channel. Isn't it hilarious? And so he's saying, no, the answer is war. But, Bill, war is what created them in the first place. There was no ISIS in Iraq before we invaded Iraq. And we opened up Pandora's box and we dropped bomb after bomb after bomb. And we got, Al-Qaeda wasn't even there. They came to fight us, let alone the Sunnis that were part of the Ba'athist regime. They, of course, fought us. Then the Shias started fighting us, even though we were going to put the Shias in power. All of this was brilliant. And then out of all of that came ISIS, which is even worse than Al-Qaeda. That's what your war brought you. And your answer to that is more war. How profoundly stupid do you have to be to believe that that's the correct answer?